Welcome back to another episode. Once again, I'm your host, Kirsten, and I have my co-host, the lovely
Maxine. Hello.
And
hello, everybody's very conservative in New York, Christopher Wright.
That's right. And we are Politricks podcast. So today we are on episode 7.
Ooh.
Wow.
Man, we are moving.
Time is really, really going. It's
having
crazy.
too much fun.
I know. I love this politics. I love like the podcast world. It's so fun. We get to talk about different things that affect us, and you know, there's a lot of different podcasts you can listen to. This one specifically talks about politics and current events and cultural events and just things
From
that
3 different perspectives.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we're for us, we're just like, we just want to have more listeners that we can engage and get them excited about, you know, the political process. It's important to just at least understand what's going on because it affects you and your community. So continue to like and share, and thank you for all the comments, and please continue to, you know, send it to your friends and family. And follow us on Politricks Podcast on Instagram, and we are working on a YouTube. So very, very soon you will see that, and we're going to have some videos up. And we're on Spotify, so please check us out on Spotify. All right? Let's politic.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go.
Let's do it.
How was your week, guys? How was your week?
My week was relaxing, and I think maybe it's because Mother's Day is coming up, and I forgot about my own day. So I had to like quickly yesterday order for my mom, but I don't know, maybe my kids are being nicer to me because of that. I have no idea, but it was a lot more relaxing.
And for all the people listening, this, you know, we record earlier,
I just
so
messed up the time.
so just heads up that for some of you guys it might be past, but
so
happy belated Mother's Day
to the mamas out there.
To the mothers out there. So
and then compassion for those who don't have their
yes,
moms here.
For those
R.I.P. Mom.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. And Chris, how was your week?
It was good. I've just tried a new thing where, you know, I've been dieting recently, but I recently tried to kind of switch things up. I met a guy who was like a Buddhist type of dude, you know, real, you know, higher, you know, yoga and all that good stuff. But we had a good conversation. He mentioned this thing called intermittent fasting. So I've been doing that this past week, and it was rough a little bit at first, but you know, for those who don't know intermittent fasting, it's pretty much eating, depending on how much of the fasting you want to do, 1 or 2 meals a day only. So the way I do it, I eat usually 2 meals a day, and I wake up in the morning. I don't usually eat breakfast. I eat my first meal around 2 p.m. and either get another meal before 7. I try to eat before 7, or sometimes I don't even get that meal before 7, and it just
wait. But you have more. If it's 8 hours, you still have until 10 o'clock though. No,
definitely. But I try
to get it. You want to get the cutoff. You won't even go.
I don't want to go because I already I was dieting before this, so I go to sleep. I try to sleep early if I can. I mean, I've been running around lately, but I've been trying to eat. I've been eating before 7 p.m. for almost past year now. So.
Oh, beautiful! Yeah, I got to try that.
Yeah, I eat at 6.
I'm gonna.
For the kids.
Do you? Because of the kids, though. Yeah, because so you want to make sure they don't eat it after 6. Like, is there
6? They're in bed by 8 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah, because we have to get up at 6 a.m.
Both, even the older one, she gets to sleep at 8 o'clock.
I don't force her, but
she's a little later.
That's
when
older,
she should at least get a little bit.
Like the house
10
is
o'clock.
shut down. Yeah, no. So I'm used to eating at 6 o'clock.
So
when I'm with adults and stuff, you know, you like have like you schedule like dinners with your friends, and it's like 7, 8 o'clock. I'm like dying. I'm like so hungry because I'm like they don't understand. I'm on kids' time.
Like I need to eat my food. Funny. Jesus Christ! Oh, that's so sweet. So my week was good, guys. You know, not nothing unusual. Just working. Always working. You know, when you're an entrepreneur, you always have to like bust your butt every single day, and you know, every day is different. So it's been a very busy week, and but I'm gonna really try this intermittent fasting again. Like I tried it a couple days and I get off of it, and I'm really like, I've been hitting the gym a lot, so I'm gonna like try to include that. You know, I want to start doing like adding more, like, because honestly, you can work out every day, but you won't lose any weight until you actually focus on your diet. So and stopping eating at a certain time. Like I just had this food, like this was really late to have, you know, but I had sushi and then this. It's like a lot. It's not that heavy, but you know, still a lot of sugar. All right, so today we're going to talk. We have some politics Politricks topics for you guys. This happened a couple weeks back, but still something that we think we should talk about on the podcast. And I'll get it right into it. Yeah. So the Georgia Governor Brian Kemp signed a controversial bill into law, making abortion illegal after 6 weeks. Now, there's some things like, if there's like risks like to the mother's health, then I have to be honest and say this, because it's not totally. That sounds like they've been having this like title on all these blogs, but there are the media,
yes. Fake news.
But there is like, if there's risks to the mother's health, then she can she can go through with an abortion. But still, I mean, 6 weeks, guys. What do you think? Is this like, are we going backwards? Is that?
We know what he thinks.
Well, I already know what he thinks, but I don't mind hearing his point of view on this one too.
Yeah, because I think New York is going backwards. I think New York, not backwards. They're going. I don't know where they're going. Whether late term abortion, post-mortem abortion, when a baby's born, you can still kill it. Sometimes it's insane. And when you look at what Georgia's doing, that's my home state. I'm born in Hinesville, Georgia, so I very red state, and I love Georgia for doing what they're doing.
Oh, it's not a very red state. Georgia's not a very red state. We're going to turn that blue.
No, Atlanta's blue. But
okay, but we're going to turn Georgia.
So are you against abortion, period?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There's no circumstances where...
I think there's circumstances, when there's circumstances when a woman's health is in danger, definitely.
That's it?
What if it's a rape?
Know what? Let me get detailed. When the baby's heartbeat is when I feel there's no more abortion. And that's what, 3 week period? The third week is
that's what they said. That's 6 weeks.
Heartbeat.
They said 6 weeks.
Yeah, so I don't believe in abortion before 6 weeks. And
what if
I don't believe in abortion?
I mean,
after he means after.
After 6 weeks, I mean, okay. I don't believe in that. And once you detect the baby's heartbeat, because me personally, me by myself, just hanging by myself, no abortion. But if we're going to talk, society, people other than myself living in a country, 6 weeks, because that's a life. And I know when I talk with people on the left about abortion, they talk about the baby like it's a freaking clump of cells, like it's a amoeba or something. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, this is a human life we're talking about here. And I just think if you're a human life, you get the freedoms of any.
What about sexual abuse?
Sexual abuse, that was a suspect, because I believe a life is a life, but then at the same time, I can imagine being a 12, 13, 14-year-old girl walking down the street and getting raped by some creeper and getting knocked up, and now you got, it's because there's baby's a responsibility. Now you got a responsibility that you didn't put onto yourself. And I think as a man, we don't deal with that because, nobody's really out here, raping us. I mean, there's a different kind of rape with men. It's like the teacher-student kind of stuff.
What if she didn't know she was pregnant?
Like, do you mean like she got raped and she didn't know later on she was pregnant? Oh, okay.
She just
didn't know she had sex with a man, and she didn't know.
They used a condom.
Because the thing is, 6 weeks doesn't give you a lot of time. 6 weeks really means it could literally be a month. It could be a month, right? So your period happens every month, and that could be one whole month. And then the 2 weeks is you being late. And for women, you can be late 2 weeks. There's times that it changed my cycle all around. I'm like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, so where does...
I don't know if I want to get so personal.
Because I don't know what the whole...
I'm just saying I have so much to say about this, but I don't know how deep I want to get.
Yeah.
Feel free to share as much as you want and as low as you want.
Because I think that's important to contraception. I mean, we have...
Because I was just going to get to that.
Because we live in a society now where, my parents, when they were younger, their sex education was, don't have sex, have respect for your body. Now, when I was growing up, it was, strap up if you're going to do it. And now it's just like, hey, have fun, YOLO, you only live once. And it's like now we're having, all these babies coming up out of nowhere. And it's like to me, it's like that's why we, women, and this is where I tell women all the time, you have the power, women. Like, not the men when it comes to this.
We talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like if you have the power, when you see a guy that's no good, he's a bum, and you just want to have fun, hey, have fun, strap up. Don't be out here, doing what you do without protection. And when you have a baby, be like, I don't want this thing. It's not a thing. It's a human life, and you created it.
I think that whole abortion thing is it's a very complicated issue. For me, I like I said, I've said this in the podcast before. I believe I'm pro-choice for myself personally, but I think that abortion is a choice for the person. I think it should be a choice whether you want to do something, if you want to turn right or if you want to turn left. That's just your personal choice. I don't believe in people who have abortions every weekend, you know, because they had bad weekends. I don't think I think that's horrible,
right?
You know, because it's a very serious thing. It happens to your body to keep it does a lot to your body, your inside. So you have to also
natural thing.
Yeah, so it's something that really should be taken super, super serious. And I think that it should be left to the women to have to decide.
Yeah.
Having men tell us what to do with our body is just, it's so bad. It's horrible. It's like almost men should have vasectomies after a certain age. If they rape women, you're having vasectomy. Like if we started creating laws like that, would that be favorable to men? Wouldn't they be upset by those things? Like, why are you giving us, why are you telling us how we have to, what we need to do with our bodies?
Well, I think when women talk about toxic masculinity, that's what they're doing. It's like, how do you know anything about being a man or being masculine? You're a woman. So it's like, mind your business on that.
No, but I'm talking about your science. Talk about what I'm saying. If I said to you that the new law is you've had 4 kids, no more kids for you, you have to have a vasectomy. If that's the new law,
this
you would be like, what?
no. If it was the law, and this is not different. When we talk the law, like for example, like if abortion is the law, I'm not going to come out and say women you can't have abortions. It's the law. Who am I? I'm not the head of the world, you know. It's the law. But my thing is, if this is the law, if this is the law of the land, all that good stuff, then my tax dollars I don't want my tax dollars going to this. If you're going to kill your baby, do it on your own money. Do it with your own money. I don't want to put $1 into that.
Okay.
And if that happens, and I bet abortions were $3,000 or $4,000, I guarantee you won't be spreading their legs without protection so often, because they know that's going to come out their pocket, and that's going to make them more responsible. So I don't think taxpayers should, especially if you don't support it, have to put their money into abortions. Planned Parenthood.
I mean,
I will speak about my personal experience. I've mentioned I was a teen mom. I was 18 years old when I found out I was pregnant. I was on birth control pills. It was a complete shock to me because I was using my pills.
Oh wow!
So I was
99.1%.
I'm going to tell you about another percentage that I fell into, but I'm okay. I'm very authentic. I'm very open. I think it's okay for me to share this stuff, and it's helpful because a lot of people have a perception of who would be getting abortions or who would be in this kind of situation, and it would not be me. So I was in this situation. I was 18 years old. I made a decision to keep the baby. I didn't decide to get an abortion, but I'm saying I got pregnant on contraceptives, was using them. You know, now I was a little bit irresponsible. You're supposed to take like the same time every day or something. I'm 18 years old. Okay. Right. So like I was kind of a little bit careless with but the point was I was using them as I thought. You know, an 18-year-old, we don't give them a lot of sex education, but that was a scenario that I had gotten myself in. And a lot of women can get in that situation and then easily not know they're pregnant, or believe me, 6 weeks can come really, really quickly. And I also have shared with you guys, so that was my personal decision. I'm pro-choice, but I decided this was consensual and I needed to step up to the plate and deal with the situation, you know, and my family was completely against me, and I made that decision. I wasn't anti-abortion, but I just personally couldn't do it. However, I also have told you guys that I was in a physically and sexually abusive marriage.
Oh my God.
Did I not?
You said it was
physical.
I thought it was physical. I think you mentioned something about you being
my ex-husband sexually abused me for 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was horrific.
Oh my gosh.
It was horrific. And he knew, so this is, and I'm going to, it's okay.
Man.
Wow.
Whoa. Yeah, don't make me cry. Don't make me cry.
No.
But this is the God's honest truth. So I endured this for 4 terrible, horrible years. And in fact, he knew my stance on abortion was so stickler that when I was about to leave him, he sexually abused me for one last time. And this is the truth as it gets. He told me that it was my punishment for trying to leave him, and that he hoped that I got pregnant so that I can end up with 3 kids on my own. And in fact, I did get pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, here I am, 25 years old. I have a good job. I don't have a reason to not have this third child, but I'm about to embark on being divorced and a single mom, and it's just a lot to take on. And in fact, who the hell does he think he is to control my body? Right. So I made a very difficult decision. And I actually spoke at a Planned Parenthood, like Hillary Clinton event, in support for pro-choice. And I gave this scenario because a lot of times you hear about the girl who comes 15 times, and it's like, yeah, but there's so many other reasons why we can't put these blanket restrictions on like this law. I know there's the one with the health, but believe me, I'm sure that's very specific. There are so many other instances and situations. And so I, because I knew the 6-week window, I was really wanted to get this done within the 6 weeks because, you know, I have this thing about the heartbeat and it has to happen before the heartbeat. So I took what's called the pill. Right. Yeah. And I don't know if you know, but right. And
not the day after. It's another kind of pill.
It's an abortion pill. When you're within the first 6 weeks, you take a pill and you basically it forces a miscarriage and you pass naturally. Right. Yeah. Wow. I took this pill. I thought I had an abortion. I did the whole thing. It was passing and everything, you guys. And wait, a week or two later, I said, something don't feel right. 5% of people, it doesn't work.
Wow.
Once again, Maxine was in that ridiculous percentage that didn't work.
You are,
and
you have many.
Wait, you guys, but this is terrible because I was still pregnant after taking this and having a menstruation. So I think it was around 9 weeks. I thought I still feel pregnant. Something's not okay. And I went back and she checked and she said, oh my God, you're still pregnant. Wow. I don't know what condition that, the fetus was in because there was definitely something coming out of me. And I was then forced to, and it wasn't traumatic enough to be sexually abused. It isn't traumatic enough to have to go through an abortion when I was so against abortion. And he knew that. And I had to put myself in the situation. But now I've got to go through this procedure. Yeah. And now I have to have a D&C. What would the condition have been for me if I was in Georgia? Is now Georgia telling me I have to now keep this baby because you passed this window, and even though you attempted to but didn't work out, now you have a baby? Who knows what condition that baby would be in, given I don't know how it's operating properly there. So I mean, I was like, when you said we were gonna have this topic, I'm like, do I tell the story? I have spoken in public about this, but it was at certain very closed events. So this is like a podcast out there now for everyone to know. But I'm okay. I'm okay telling this story because I need to be a voice for a lot of women.
Oh my God, you're a
powerful voice.
And let me tell you one of the reasons why when I was 18 years old I decided to keep the baby, because I had so many women around me, family, friends, examples, being the thought on the block and having her 15th abortion. And I'm this is irresponsible. I am 18 years old. I made a mistake, but I'm also going to step up to the plate because I was tired of seeing that. But why can't we put a restriction? Why can't there be some kind of national database that, like Social Security number, you can see how many times someone's had an abortion, and you're not allowed to get another one after like a certain amount? Like, why do we have to put this 6 weeks restriction?
Yeah, maybe that may be ridiculous. No, that's not a bad idea. Actually, that's a good idea.
Why? Because that's the problem. People are tired of the perpetual abortions. They're tired, and I've known someone who was like thinking about it forever, and it was like, girl, you have something growing, and you figure it out, and it's like. At 4 months, she decides and I'm like, how do you, the gender and everything, like, how do you, but again, that's my personal opinion, but there are people who just don't, think about the criticality of the situation, and it bothers people from a moral perspective, and it bothers people from a financial perspective, but I feel like we could have addressed it a different way without taking this right away from women, because this is my body and I shouldn't have to be here telling you this story to prove why we need this, but I will do it on behalf of other women. But there's so many women out there that are in the silently dealing with a lot of things that shouldn't have to be trying to prove to their elected officials why they shouldn't have this kind of right taken away from them. So I know that's an extreme example, but like, I don't know if that helped change your mind.
I mean, it definitely put another way of looking at things there. You know what I mean?
Like, that's embarrassing for me to have to talk about.
My God, embarrassing. This is what you went through with your Can you even call it like that?
A male.
That male that you're with, because that's a horrible person.
Forgiveness is for us.
Yeah.
For me. So.
Yeah, but
he's the next husband, and
that's how.
He's father of my kids.
Does he? I mean, has he had to go through? Mm-mm. You didn't put him through any kind of legal stuff?
No.
New legal ramifications?
Never pressed charges. In fact, I'm scared for this to get out because, it was when I first started opening up on social media and things like that, there was a lot of backlash in his family and things like that. So I do get worried, but I think, they witnessed violence too. So it's not like I was making it up.
Let's be real. When things unfortunately, actions have consequences, and his actions, the consequence, if people find out in his family, well, if that's the only thing that happens, fine. At least know that he needs to get help. Yeah, he needs help.
Mental health.
Yeah. Yes, he needs help because you can't.
But that's mental health in Caribbean people. You can't even get that conversation.
And this was in America, or was this?
My son ain't crazy.
Yeah, was this in America, or
it was in both? Because we were in. I was in New England when we were both in college, and then after that we went to Bermuda. So
oh, you guys met in college?
No, we met when we were 13 on a cruise.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it was. I've been known him for quite a while.
But he just became a different person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh boy!
He just snapped one day.
And then you had to deal with this monster personality.
It was horrific. It was like a movie. It was every day of my life was like hell. But I'm not. I don't want to take away from other stories by, I don't have to have this traumatic story to be, worthy of having a right, over your body. I don't want to take away from. The point is just you often have these kind of perspectives on why we shouldn't have abortion, or you hear about the kind of abusive use of abortion, or the typical woman who's getting one, and you don't think of educated, high, you know what I'm saying, highly, independent kind of women like that. You have this other blanket idea of a woman who's getting an abortion and kind of this evil person, what's she doing? And that's not the case majority of the time.
It's a hard thing to do.
So, but
I don't care what anybody says. People, it's not something that everyone's
I'm for making it more expensive. I'm okay with that. I
meaning what? The person has to pay more than $500?
I do think there's a deterrence when you make it more expensive. I do think there's an argument to that. I think we should do something with putting limits on how many people can get, because you can't argue why you need your 10th abortion. Maybe I don't know.
You can't say 10 coincidences.
I'm just saying, but things happen. But really, and then and you have to think about women.
Yeah, but then the problem is that then there's more people with kids out there that they don't want, that they don't treat, and then you have these kids that grow up to have. Unfortunately,
or maybe your behaviors will change.
Maybe,
but I don't know. But I'm just saying, I think we can. Why did we have to go to an extreme? Why couldn't we try smaller things first before we just
then do this 6-week thing?
But this is because of this whole religious thing with the baby is the fetus is a baby and you're killing life and Christ
they
and
kill,
all that.
How many of Republicans are for the death penalty?
Are you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm not. It's do you get what I'm saying? How can you be for the death penalty?
Because they're saying one is innocent and one is not.
It doesn't matter. You're not God. How are you? You're not. How are you the person that gets to tell who needs to live and who doesn't? How? Just like you don't want them to kill the baby, the infant. Why would you want them to kill a person, a human being?
I go for eye for an eye theory on that one. Baby ain't killing nobody in the womb. You're a grown adult and you kill somebody.
But the argument about the taxpayers' dollars,
still
right? Let's talk about that, because I don't know what the percentage that would government is subsidizing or whatever of it. But then think about if that woman has a baby, and especially if she's from a low-income neighborhood. Now you've got a child going in, another person on welfare, another food stamp recipient.
Yeah.
So how is that not adding up to more taxpayer dollars, which you were just getting at? But doesn't that come out to more?
Yeah, and then it goes back to the society problem we're having right now. That's it, and it's just all these women get knocked up by dudes that aren't going to be around. It's if fathers were around, man, there will be a lot. You can have there's my grandfather's there. They were having 12, 13 kids, and but their dad was there, and they could handle. It's still difficult, very difficult, but it was manageable because they had both parents in the house.
I didn't do the data analysis, but I don't believe that our abortion issue is getting out of control. Teen pregnancy, I know that one because that's my space, is down crazy at all-time low for like 40, 50 years. So I'm going to assume that abortion's got to be down too. Like the media is putting this like, again, fake news out there. Like we have this major problem. We have to address it with this ridiculous bill. But it's like, really? Do you know if abortions are down?
No, like I said, I'd like to see the numbers. I'd like to see the...
But most conservative Republicans are not even looking into that. They're just, I don't want my taxpayer dollars. Well, do you know that your taxpayer dollars are less? How would it make you feel if you knew there's less abortions happening today than it was 10 years ago or the last 5 years? Would you still want this bill so badly?
They still want it because it's still for them. It's morals. Yeah. It's a moral thing.
And I talk to women, especially here in New York, that talk about abortion. Like, who cares? Who cares? Like,
okay, but that's like nobody. I don't know anybody that does. To be fair,
there's infertility issues. Okay, and there's high risk pregnancies. I know friends that have fertility issues, and you can have ectopic pregnancies. You have high risk pregnant, like, and they make a decision. Like, I don't know if that would fall into this category here. But the point is, like, there's just way too many scenarios out there. Yeah, you can't just blanket with this. 6 weeks is not a lot of time for women to know, figure it out, get an appointment, have all this. It's just not a lot of time.
I agree. All right, let's get to our next topic.
That was heavy.
Yeah,
that was heavy.
That was very
difficult.
That was deep. Thank you for sharing,
definitely,
Maxine.
Thank you for listening.
We're always here for you to, in a safe place, and I hope you always feel like it's safe.
Not all men are like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I know that.
It's disgusting.
Very.
Thank you.
Okay, so the New York Times put out an article last week about Donald Trump losing 1.7. Right, 1.17, so 1.17 billion dollars in businesses between the year of 1985 and 1994. So my question is about white privilege. How does that come into play with the Trump's business career? Because I mean, this is like we've heard about Trump having business like going bankrupt like 7 times. Like we heard about it. Like this isn't like people shouldn't be like, what? He's not like he lost billions of dollars, like $1 billion. Like people shouldn't be shocked by this because this has been something that we've heard, and he said it. He's actually his daughter. There's interviews of his daughter saying, and this is so funny. She said, "You see that homeless person right there?" Says he was saying this to his daughter. That homeless person is $100 million richer than I am, but that person doesn't know his worth. And he said that. So she that was like a pride thing for them, like, right? So like to say like he utilized his debt to create this persona of wealth, right? Somehow he found ways to get in and out of the political system. I mean, the business system and the tax system. He utilized once you make a certain amount, you pretty much don't have to pay taxes because you just say, I've lost all of it every year. I made these dumb decisions doing Trump steak, Trump airplane, Trump, like every single Trump building thing, anything affiliated with him, his Trump casinos, all fell down. Every single one. There's like, he doesn't have one bit. Trump University was a fraud, was horrible.
His real estate's, look, you got the real estate, and he's got his golf clubs.
That's the only thing and that's a reason. And those are not even, a lot of those, what started to change for him is when he started just using his name and had other people run it. It's just him as a businessman, horrible. He's not good. He's just not. He's not.
You can't say somebody's not good and they're a multi-billionaire. You got to be good somewhere to become a multi-billionaire. You now a millionaire, you can get away with just BSing.
What is his main source of income?
No one knows his net worth. We don't even know his net worth at this point. We really don't.
It's over $1 billion.
We don't know that.
$3 billion.
Yeah, $3 billion. About $3 billion.
But we don't know that. We don't know. It could be even half. It could be like $300 million.
How does this number come about?
It really can be.
It's Forbes.
But remember, Rachel Maddow put out his.
He said him and Forbes, the owner of Forbes, he hates him, so he doesn't say the right numbers. Yeah, so he says on certain things he was saying he was a billionaire. Certain things he was saying has had 100 million. Like
Rachel Maddow released his taxes from 2005 that one time because she's tried to I got this information. I'm going to put him out there. I'm going to embarrass him. And when she released it, he found out he paid more taxes than Bernie Sanders, Obama, and like every Democratic candidate combined. Trump has money. He has plenty of money.
I don't think he has.
Well,
money.
he makes more than them.
Of course.
You mean effective tax rate, or what do you mean? Of course, he's going to pay more tax.
Yeah, I mean, they also weren't business. Like they were like
politicians.
Yeah,
exactly. And he was a multi-billionaire businessman.
That's fine. But you do understand that he made his money. He really made his money on that TV show. Like that's when it changed.
Trump's a hustler, man.
He's a hustler.
New York, Manhattan hustler. And I got
thank you. Use that word because he's not a businessman. Businessman is
hustlers.
Amazon is. So
let me.
Jeff Bezos is a businessman. No. Bloomberg is a businessman.
Jay-Z's a hustler. 50 Cent's a hustler who just filed bankruptcy, so he had to pay child support on his son.
Correct. No, it wasn't that. That's not why. That's not why I work with.
Well, I think
that's not. It was because he was getting sued, and he said he wanted to. He was going to lose like $7 million. So what he did was he bankrupted one of his companies so that he didn't have to pay it, which was smart.
Hustling.
But that's utilizing. But it's still. Okay, that's one time. Trump has done it several times.
I mean, in all fairness, though, if we're allowing, and I've always said this about rich people, if we're gonna give them loophole, like first of all, privilege, but
it's not white privilege.
Skin color. Oh no, but there is some sort of white privilege with him.
I'm just saying, skin color or not. Like personally, if I had $100 million. And the government said, hand half of it over to me, I'm going to be pissed off. If the government says, here's a way for you to pay less than that, everybody by human nature is going to do that. Exactly. So the problem is we allow these loopholes. Like I'm just trying to be fair. I don't want to get so mad at the rich people because human nature, like if this is what's allowed, we need to say, why do we have these loopholes and why do we have this tax situation set up to advantage wealthier people? Like that's the problem to me. But like I don't know maybe Trump's a really good con artist because I'm so embarrassed to admit this, but when I was a teen I had a Trump book.
The Art of the Deal.
Was it the Art? No,
he didn't write it though. That's the only book. That's the main one though.
There was a few books that
that's the main one.
There was a real estate one, and I thought he was the greatest thing ever, and he was the best businessman in the world. And I was like reading this book and trying to visualize, and I'm going to be rich like Trump, and like
what everybody thinks.
So embarrassing.
No, but that's what everybody thinks. But that's what everybody
embarrassed about.
That's what everybody thinks.
I don't think he's who he.
Listen. What he did with his TV show was he showed America that he is a businessman. All he did for 10 years was you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. Him in a really nice suit, him sitting with his team, him having different celebrities come. America was like, oh my God, this is a businessman. They fired another one. Like that was his life. It was fake. It was fake garbage.
That's why I keep calling him a con artist.
And we all sat there and believed him. And then I hate to say it, but white America saw this and was like, oh my God. And then I'm talking about the ones that are living, I hate to say,
low income.
Yes, they watch this show regularly and they were like, that Trump, he a businessman. He fired all them people. He knows what's right with America. He gonna fix America. And this is where we are. This is and so is this it's comical to say 10 years you lose $1 billion. His father, this is how bad it is. So then he goes on Twitter and he says, oh, but everybody was taking advantage. This was 30 years ago and everybody in the 80s and 90s took advantage of the taxes. You have to show that you lost a profit for tax purposes so you wouldn't have to pay someone. I said, fine. But do you know that your father never lost any money? Ever? The only time he lost money in a year was when he invested in your casinos.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Look it up.
But his father stayed in Brooklyn real estate.
Fine.
Trump went to Manhattan.
His father was a normal, I mean, he wasn't the nicest.
Small time business.
But he was a
small time business.
He owned buildings.
He owned in Brooklyn, not in Manhattan.
I mean, what? But that's talk about
that's real estate terms. That's small time.
He's a millionaire though. He was still a millionaire though.
Yeah, but that's still small time. We're talking about big time real estate.
I agree. But what I'm saying is,
I got friends
he bought casinos. He bought helicopters. He bought hotels. He bought yachts. He was just
doing too much.
He was a horrible. He does not know. Like he bought, they said he bought the Waldorf. No, was it the Waldorf or the Plaza?
The casino that
not the
Taj Mahal or whatever.
No. In Manhattan, I think it was the Plaza Hotel. I think he bought the Plaza Hotel. I don't. You guys write us if it's Plaza or Waldorf. I think it's the Plaza. And he purchased it. They said that he purchased it for over its value because he's so dumb. He doesn't even know to buy it over the value. They said they would have sold it for less. He bought it for over. He just made. His father even told him, "Do not get into Atlantic City. It's a very bad deal. Don't do it."
Yeah, but it's that told him not to go to Manhattan either. And look what that did for him. because his dad is small time. You can't listen to a small timer. You're trying to make multi-billions. You can't listen to a millionaire. You got to listen to other billionaires. And Trump's a multi-billionaire.
I mean, if he invested in Manhattan real estate, it's not in the 80s or whatever. It's not hard to believe it's worth ridiculously more today. And that's where all his wealth is sitting.
You got to be smart to make that decision at a young age. And that's
but then you want to
intelligence.
talk about privilege, like you said. Like he had access to money and resources.
Well, $1 million to start his.
But he's a white man. People are going to listen to him.
Yeah. Think about that. Like if you
to even negotiate in the first place and have a deal with.
Imagine having $1 million to start your business. Like imagine.
Yeah, but
we can make that to multi-billions, though. I know there's people that win the lottery that get more than $1 million and they blow it.
Maybe they won't. I'm just saying that if I'm a business person, I mean, I'd like to think that if I had $1 million to invest in my businesses, I'd like to think that I'd make multi-million dollars. I don't know if I'd be a billionaire, but I definitely think
honestly,
I'd be
I feel like we give Trump way too much credit because when that man speaks,
he shows you.
So just as much as you want to give him credit for the wins, like, and you want to give him credit for the losses, I feel like he ain't done any of it. He's probably got a team of people that are equally responsible for his losses as they are of his wins. Because that man, I don't think he does anything. I don't know what. Honestly,
he leverages people. You're right.
I don't know if he's personally responsible. I feel like
Trump gets about 4 hours of sleep.
I feel like
he works. Trust me.
I don't know.
This guy knows Trump personally. Trust him.
He may one day. He might.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I went to one of his speeches. I was about 20 feet away from him, so I'm getting closer to Trump.
You're getting there.
Good luck. Maybe he'll be in his cabinet. I don't know. Maybe he'll
2024, baby. Holla at me, Trump.
He's hiring anybody. He needs someone. Hopefully you stay because everyone seems to leave. All right. So white privilege or no privilege? Do we see white privilege?
He definitely has white privilege.
What is white privilege?
But I wonder also, like the time, like that weird time period that was picked. Like I don't know, were we in a depression at that time? Like I don't know.
In the 90s?
In that late 80s, because
during Reaganomics.
Yeah, wasn't that like a?
That was the good
that's
point.
Why I didn't because you know media they want to like and most people are not going to go wait that time period sounds like
but
why did we pick that
every
weird
year
time
he
period?
he lost 100 million like come on bro like that's dude come on. You know, but listen, I'm not a billionaire, so I can only talk about someone like I'm not a billionaire, so I don't know what it is like to lose multi-millions of dollars. But all I think about, and this is why I ask if it's white privilege, I say for the fact that he still continued to purchase and still got loans from banks for a long time before they stopped in America. They stopped giving loans, period.
And this is
every bank in America for the last maybe 15, 20 years stopped giving him loans, and that's why he went overseas. That is a fact because they were just like this guy keeps.
But see, none of that matters to the Trump supporters.
Well,
and that's what's frustrating. I'm just saying.
Because
realistically, at the end of the day, they don't care whether he made money, whether he lost money. At the end of the day, what they like about him is that he is bringing a business perspective, whether he can do it or not.
Yep.
He's coming into the picture and saying, I don't want to just talk about legislation. I don't want to just talk about policy. I want to talk about business. Even if he has a whole team behind him that can actually articulate it and he doesn't know how to say anything, he's still saying, I'm bringing my band of people and we're going to start talking business in this conversation too. And Trump supporters don't care about his background, his track record. You know They're just happy that finally we're talking about business.
Exactly. You know why? Because I'm told
and that's why we're not going to get anywhere.
You're 110% correct. And you know what's the problem in this country is? It's these politicians that go into politics making $30,000 a year coming out like Nancy Pelosi, $100 million a year out of nowhere. You made your money out of politics. How do you make that kind of money in politics?
How does that happen? How do we allow that?
Because they're cheating the system, and that's cheating the system.
But how?
Because you are using campaign funds to do businesses and do stuff like that.
Is that legal?
No, it's legal. It's totally illegal, and that's why career politicians, I think, it's a problem in this country. It should be an 8-year cutoff. Term limits is Trump is trying to pass term limits because
he's not the only one who's
he's not the only one. It's been that term limits has been around for a while, but it's been Republicans talking about it. We do need term limits in this country. And I don't believe in white privilege. I believe in generational wealth.
What?
Yes.
You don't believe
No, I know. I had white friends.
You don't think that white people...
No.
Okay, tell me.
I had white friends growing up, and it would be our birthdays. My birthday, I'll get from my grandparents my age. I'll get like $10 or whatever. And I'm like, what the heck is this? My white friend will get $300 for his birthday. I'm like, what? Is that even possible? But what it was is like my grandfather came here from Germany. He started a business back in 1903, and now my family has money, and his passed on to his father. Now it's going on to him, and his father's showing him how to invest in his spare time. And then, of course, he's getting the wealth from his grandparents, whatever, for his birthday and all that good stuff like that. So it's like, I'm giving you money, but I'm teaching you how to grow this money yourself, so it continues to go through generation to generation.
But white privilege is not just about financial. It's about all aspects of society being represented by white people.
Well, they're the majority of the country, though. But that's
all opportunities, everything you see around you is catered to white people.
Yeah, they're most of the population, though. I mean, if you're most of the population,
yeah, but it's not even the country. This country is not even. This country it's so messed up that, first of all, we have to start from the beginning. The reason why people use the term white privilege is because there is a significant amount of examples when white people have used their whiteness to get ahead, period. Mm-hmm. And you can't use your blackness to...
Yes, you can.
No, you cannot.
I've done it a bunch of times. I got many jobs off my blackness.
What job?
Any job. I've beaten college students out for interviews all the time.
Where?
Because anywhere. At banks. I worked at hospitals. I worked sales. I've done, real estate.
Let me tell you something.
And let me tell you what it is.
No black person.
Let me tell you what it is. It's when I walk into an interview, they see a black man, they go, oh gosh. And then when I start talking, they're like, it blows their mind. Yeah, but I'm just articulate. If I was a white guy being articulate, I'll be
maybe you're one of the few that get that, but for the most part,
that's why I'm trying to educate other blacks how to do it themselves.
For the most part, white privilege is there's always a form of white
woman privilege. There's
not so much. It doesn't work in our favor too much. It really, unfortunately, it doesn't work in our favor the way it does because the thing is they have the system to support.
But I think the one thing I do want to say is that white privilege, I don't think it was created. White people today are benefiting from white privilege that was put in place for them for generations, correct?
I agree. Back in the day, there
right.
was.
So I think they are benefiting today from white privilege that was set in place a long time. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think we should necessarily chastise or blame them for that, but they should acknowledge it, and where they can help the level the playing field, I think they should do that. But to say, you know what I'm saying, like that to me is where I think they need to step up.
Yeah, that's what the conversation
but there's so many examples, and I think we have to get to examples are like, and this has nothing to do with Trump specifically, but he has used white privilege in America, period. Like, you can't say he hasn't, because he's not the smartest guy, but he's a president. He's lost billions of dollars, but he's a president. He says, he curses out everybody on Twitter, tweets everybody, says the worst stuff, and he's still the president. Imagine Obama doing maybe 10% of the stuff he does. Yep. There's white privilege. White privilege is a black man driving a expensive car. My friend, right? I should have him come here. My friend who used to be the DA in Brooklyn, and he would drive an expensive car. And he told me that, I remember I was like, man, what happened to your car? You had a beautiful, a Mercedes. I'm like, oh man, he had drove us one day after a club we went out, because he's one of my friends' husband. And he was like, oh man, I had to sell that car. I said, why? I said, it was so gorgeous. I said, what are you driving now? And it was like, he was driving it was a new car, but it wasn't like a high, I don't know what kind of car it was. And I said, well, why? And he says, because I kept getting stopped. I said, oh, come on. I said, dude, I was about to say his name. Dude, you're a DA. What the hell are you getting stopped? What? You wear suits to work every day. He's always in a suit every time I see him, because he's a DA. He's like, I got stopped every single in my suit. The Republicans are going to every day.
How have you personally
white privilege is not there? If he was a white man in an expensive car, do you think he'd be stopped every day? He's not driving fast. He's not doing anything. He's just black.
I got $85
and he's a DA, so when they would
taxes
stop him, he'd have to show his thing.
I'm a DA.
But did you get a higher or lower? I mean, the first time I actually got pulled over was last year.
If you don't mind me, I'm
no problem. 16, and my first and only ever. And they can see my records. Never been pulled over. I gotta go to court. I gotta do all that. And yet, my white stepfather pulled over all the time growing up. Every single time. Warning.
I didn't care.
Every single time. Never gets a ticket. In 2 weeks, speeding 20, 30 miles over the speed limit. Never got a ticket.
I earned that back in 2 weeks.
I had a white neighbor tell me, like, what's the deal with, black people hating police? I get pulled over all the time. They're so nice to me. Like, are you serious? Like, I got pulled over and I had to go to court.
Definitely.
So,
you know what black privilege is? I saw my check. I thought I got pulled over growing up a lot too, along with my white friends, and they had points on their license. I had a clean license. The reason why mine was clean is because when I got pulled over, they were expecting the dude from Baltimore to be like, "Yo, what the heck, man? What's going on, dog?" And when I said, "Yes, sir, no, sir," hands on the steering wheel, they just, man, go home, man.
That's not black
privilege.
It is black privilege.
That's not black privilege. There's no such thing as black privilege.
No. Obama had black privilege. I mean, look,
how he used to get, let me talk. He couldn't even get a cab. He couldn't even get a cab.
You know why? Because it's the same way the media, athletes, actors are attacking Trump every single day of the week, every second of the day. Attack Obama like that, they'll be up in arms in this country about black racism. They're attacking a black man. We need to go after that. It will be all over MSNBC and CNN every day how the country's racist because they're attacking this black man like this. That's black privilege.
They attacked him every time.
Do you know?
No, not like Trump. Not like Trump.
I was so thankful when he was done because I was like, he can rest.
No.
I kept saying, finally get a rest.
Finally, you mean a white athlete?
No,
oh,
white athletes, black athletes, entertainers, politicians on the right and the left, and the mainstream media. And Fox News gets them every now and then. Everybody attacks Trump every single day. He's doing great as a president.
He's not.
He's building the economy.
Wait, if you think
he's bringing jobs back for all communities.
If you think if Obama said the vulgar things Trump says and people vocally talked against him, you think that would have been a problem? If Obama said the things that Trump said,
I'd rather have a brash truth teller than an articulate liar, and Obama was a liar in my opinion. So.
Oh Lord.
You don't think Trump is a liar?
Yeah, everybody in the world's a liar.
They said he's lied 10,000 times.
Everybody lies.
10,000.
I mean, how can you put a number to somebody's lies? Like,
because everything's not factual. They fact check him.
What he said in the rallies is what he's doing as president. I don't see nothing Trump has done so far as president where I said, "What are you doing, Trump?" With Obama, I said that about 15 times.
It's when
where I'm like, "What are you doing, Obama?"
His facts.
Transgenders in the bathrooms? Like, what in the world is this? You didn't say nothing like that in your rally speeches.
But what's wrong with transgenders in the bathroom?
Because he's not. You need to campaign on that. You need to campaign on what you're going to do when you're president.
Oh, so you're unhappy about the fact that he let transgenders in bathrooms?
I'm unhappy because that was nowhere in his policy. That's nowhere in his campaign speeches. That was nowhere. He didn't say that anywhere.
Was that him?
Well, no, I mean, yeah, he was.
But just because,
I mean, the money to Iran, the uranium deal.
No, but I'm saying, wasn't that just Congress? Like, why is it Obama?
But that was he's president.
He supported it.
No, he put the. I'm sure he put the bill out there.
I don't think.
Not to mention, he did the Iran deal with the uranium to Iran.
He gave the money back that they were that was frozen. That they gave him back their frozen money?
No, you don't give money to Iran, period.
Their money was frozen that we were holding because they were the sanctions.
And why were we holding it? Because they're a country that wants to nuke us.
Yes, exactly.
And now we're going to get that money.
But we did the deal, and then we said we'll give you back your money if you chill, and they chilled.
Iran doesn't chill. Iran never chilled. A radical Islamic country. They hate our guts.
But did you get?
They train their kids to say "bomb America." Like that's come on, give me a break. Iran is terrible. Iran's.
I think he already.
I would never say that. I would never say Iran.
I think he said this was one of his regrets.
Yeah, he's one of his regrets. But
that's okay.
I don't think it's a regret.
It needs to be a regret.
The point is, like, I don't think comparing the two is even.
I think
worthwhile.
I think when you talk about privilege, I think
there's so many areas you can talk about. Education, you can talk about, access to loans and there's so many different examples of where white people got it and black people didn't.
Can you not? What about black people?
Asians get it too. I see Hispanics are getting it. It's a community thing. We don't have community in the black community. Sorry.
I agree. But what about the fact that, like, okay, can we get to the privilege?
But the black people are not in power.
I mean, it doesn't, because we can't get in power.
How can you give back to your people? You gotta be a community
to be in power.
But how can you give back to your people if you're not in the position of power? You don't have the money, the resources. What are you doing?
You work together.
The people who are running everything in America are white.
And what about I see Asians doing a lot over here. I see Africans come over here doing a lot of work over here.
What about white people that that shoot schools up and then we see have like they're taking
a lot of them
taking away.
A lot of Democrats, by the way.
They
too.
take that. Oh, I don't know with those rifles. I don't know.
You see the recent shooter talking about he had transgender with him, and he said he hates Trump on Twitter every day.
I don't know but with all those I don't know that might be that one person.
No, there's a lot of them.
But don't forget the other one that was sending bombs to all the.
But
Democrats.
We're not saying white privilege is not a Republican or Democratic thing. We're just saying white people.
But why are they getting? Why do they get to go to jail and they're given hamburgers and they get scot free?
They get the death penalty to the kid Dylan. Where that kid's name is?
But black people get death penalty in the streets.
They get shot up before they even find out that they
by
don't
the cops.
Hey, as long as you're dead, you're dead.
But that's not the cops'
But they're
decision.
shooting them before they even find out.
They don't even know if it's some people. It's unarmed guys that they're shooting. Sometimes it's unarmed people.
Yeah, but more white people were killed by the police in a year than blacks.
That's fine because there's more white people, but there's an alarming amount of black people. There's an alarming amount of black people that are getting killed and are unarmed.
Nah, I won't agree with that.
No, I told you the numbers. I told you the numbers.
I think when we talk about white privilege, we're also just talking about representation, right? When you're looking at, a corporation and everybody in the executive board is white, problem. When you're looking at your politicians and everybody's white, problem. When you're looking at a university and everybody who's at the top are white, we can't say that they don't have a privilege over other people, an advantage, a superiority over other people. I think that's what we're trying to get at.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't see other communities like Asians. They don't complain at all about white privilege. I never hear Asians say nothing about white privilege.
They do.
Oh, no.
I'll send you interviews. There's Asian women who are but culturally they don't. That's not culturally. That's not part of their
Asian people.
But they all believe because they're people of color. They don't see themselves as white people or no. They feel
but black people are the only people in America that were once considered property. Can we please acknowledge that?
I acknowledge that. But Native Americans were treated worse than we were.
They don't. They're not happy either. They're not happy either. I know,
but I'm not saying. But we can't.
They're not happy.
We can't. We always do. The black people got the worst in American history. We didn't.
No, you can't say we didn't. You can't say we didn't.
Native Americans.
Black people. Black Americans have gotten.
At least we got to live. They didn't get to live.
There's so many ancestors that are dead, that are lynched.
Yeah,
I know, but they got the march.
That was only 70 years ago.
They had Trail of Tears where they literally got marched down where you see a lot of Native Americans in Vegas because they got marched down there from like Wisconsin. They had to walk on foot. They're elders in their community literally dropped dead from dehydration, and they said keep walking.
Excuse me. Do
Andrew
you forget
Jackson,
that slavery?
Andrew Jackson.
You took people from their countries as cargo. I don't think there's anything.
Democrats did.
Okay, that was the old Democrats, and thank you for
still
saying.
The
point is,
mental slavery now.
You took Africans out of their country and brought them in as cargo.
Yeah.
Okay,
Muslims
to come to this country and to work for you and get nothing and to build the country. And then to not be able to
that's why I think.
But Muslims in the Middle East treat us
the white privilege. You guys have to understand. I'm sorry. The white privilege starts because
But who sold the black people back then?
White people. We'll get to that. White people have had generational wealth, which you mentioned. They had it because they had 300 years head start.
Yeah.
300 years. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, when you talk about the guns that black people have, when you talk about the uneducated people that the black people have, you guys forget that these people, black Americans, have not had an equal opportunity. Finally, we're getting a little bit of money.
Yeah,
finally, we're gaining some. We're just getting here. This is hard. This is hard. So when we say there's a privilege, there is a privilege. It's their white people have.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't like. I'm not there. There are sometimes aggressive. Ideology against like white people today, and I don't agree with that 100%. I think they need to acknowledge what you just said, that you are the beneficiary of a lot of privilege.
I think a lot of white people do that though,
and that's
good. They should.
Yeah, but that. So I just wanted to bring that up.
No, I think that's a good point because it's not bash. White people.
Yeah,
never. You can never say that.
Because we got to do Muslim privilege, and because Muslims still have us enslaved in the Middle East to this day.
Some are. I mean, you know what? I do laugh when I see memes or when I hear people see white people and they like call them colonized. It's like I'm just gonna be sure. It's funny. It's funny. But at the same time, there are some black people that are very anti-white people, and they're just see them as evil, and they want nothing to do with them. And you're racist, and it's because and it's like you are responsible for what my ancestors. No. There are though, and I'm just saying we need to move from that without like I feel like you want us to just act like
it never happened.
It doesn't. Not that it didn't happen, but like we're equal now, and we're not. We're not equal. We're not.
I just told you that a kid from the Bronx, before he was 10 years old, had everything that you can imagine happened to that person. So then you're expecting him to go to school and become the next Trump or the next whatever you would say, like whoever you want him to. How can he when he has everything going against him? When the food he eats is horrible, when he's malnourished, when his mom is working hard and she only has an hour before her next shift and she can spend 30 minutes with the kids to like talk to them, and then she has to go back to work. It's like we can't forget that they've redlined us. They put the black people in certain places in these communities that they have to
Democrats.
And even when you get in a position like educated and all of that, you're still constantly reminded that you are not, on an equal playing field. Just to give you an example, like VC, venture capital funding, 3 to 4% go to women. 0.2% goes to black women. And we're talking about women who went to MIT and Harvard and they have some amazing idea for some platform that they can code, and yet no one's paying attention to them to even let them pitch, to give them an opportunity to even be funded. Why are they only getting 0.2% of all VC funding out there? So even when you control for education and affluence and all this stuff, there's still so many examples of where we are not there yet.
Yeah, but Asians are showing us how to get there. It's this community. Start opening your own banks. How about that? We can do this.
Well, black people do have their own banks.
Yeah, about like 1% of them.
But you know what the problem is with black banks? You know what the problem is? They don't even give to black people. They give to Indians.
That's our community.
They give to Indians and Asians. Do you know why? Do you know why though? Because Indians and Asians come to their areas, and they know that we'll give you the money because you'll pay on time because you have your business, you have your local business, and you're going to pay your money. Yep. They don't give the money to blacks.
Yep. But are black people applying?
That's a good question.
We probably don't even know to apply because we don't even know. We don't know.
Are we trying to open up a business?
Or are any of us putting our money in black banks?
And that's the
How
thing.
about that?
Of course not. Of course not.
And it's because we have no sense of community. That's the whole point. We had sense of community back in the 20s and 30s when we were conservatives. When we believed in a family structure, we had community, and we had Black Wall Street. We had like 5 Black Wall Streets back in the day. We don't have one now. What's the difference between were black people smarter back then than they are now? No, I've
never even heard of that. Black Wall Street.
What?
I never Black Wall Street.
Oh man, can you give her a little lesson quickly?
Black Wall Street was a area. Don't ask
Tulsa.
me. Yeah, Tulsa, Alabama.
Oklahoma.
I'm sorry. Was it? I can't remember. I'm bad with the locations.
Right
I get to pull that up for me. Get the exact details on that. But it was an area where the black community after slavery got together in the same. Because I was living in the same neighborhood, and so they worked together to pretty much build businesses within the community.
And it was in Tulsa.
And we supported our communities. We built our communities.
Are they still black today?
No, listen to this.
Yeah, and we pretty much were self-funded. We were we were doing pretty good, honestly, until segregation hit, and then things kind of switched a little bit after.
But how did they get money in the first place?
No, after slavery,
but how did they get? Where did the money come from?
Well, there was like they had given. I think the feds gave. I think it was. Oh shoot! I gotta.
Yeah, it was like
that's a good. I actually know the answer. I'm sorry. I want to say that there was money given to slaves, like when they came out. There was some that got too many.
There was some form of reparations,
and
the slaves,
of small thing.
And slave owners started paying the people that stayed, that worked on the plantation.
Yeah.
Oh yes, they did give them a job, but they were getting paid close to nothing.
But it doesn't matter. They saved. And it was a community. It was a community. They had doctors. They had like
lawyers.
It was like
doctors.
Yeah, they had a community, strong community. And what happened was, this is what happened. Unfortunately, the Ku Klux Klan found out about
Democrats. Sorry, I had a call for it.
Ku Klux Klan came and burned down.
It all. Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah, burned down the community. So now that was gone. So
again, white people.
Yeah.
No,
but Democrats, to be specific, they're the ones who created KKK. Were Democrats.
What? Okay, next.
But just taking black people.
The old Democrats. Okay, just stop saying the new ones. The old Democrats.
They're mental slavery now. They use welfare to do mental slavery.
All right, next topic. Okay, so kind of talking about the Trump stuff that we're talking about. So we're talking. He likes to talk about how there's so much jobs and job creation and the economy so well. But one thing that is happening that is very important for us to talk about is the artificial intelligence and automization of labor. There will be more people out of work. in the next 5 to 10 years, companies are bringing in robots and machines to replace humans. So like, there's like, if you notice at your local CVS, there's like self-checkout, or even like Walmart has self-checkout. Now there's some companies that are starting self-driving trucks to replace truck drivers, right? Now, problem with that, well, the question for you guys before I say the problem, how can we deal with the automation problem that is happening? Is training people to do new jobs a solution? Or are there solutions like UBI to consider?
I think the first thing we got to do is get rid of the standard minimum wage. That needs to go. Because definitely. If you're working a small business and I hire 6 employees and I'm barely getting by and I have to pay these 6 employees $15 an hour, it just messes me up as a business owner. It's like we need to. So why would you? And if I had a choice between paying one time for a machine to do that job or paying somebody $15 an hour until they retire, I'm going to choose machine any day of the week.
Yeah, but
that's
investment.
Living.
But what
faster.
about a living life? Like you can't live for under $15 is still very low. How you still need to live?
Yeah, I know.
But even if you paid, the machine is going to produce faster. So it's not about.
But these jobs that they're paying $15 an hour, like McDonald's, the whole point of McDonald's is to teach you how to get up in the morning and go to work, and then you're supposed to move on and do a real job.
I felt like I felt like fast food should be all teenagers and like.
I agree.
But the problem is,
who cares? Like, you guys can't tell who if someone needs a job, they need a job.
No, but I'm just saying. I think I think there's a lot of youth out there, and I think I'm not trying to displace others, but I'm just saying some of those jobs, those
Retail?
kids won't mind getting paid $15. The minimum wage, jobs as much as possible, I think should be filled with our youth.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about the youth that have our parents that just came to the country and can't? Where are they supposed to work?
You can work there. You can work there too. Just expect the $8 an hour to come your way. So figure out how you can work with that. That's part of that's why you don't stay at McDonald's. That's why it's the whole point of leaving McDonald's.
But the problem with the problem with training is that, and I think my boy Andrew Yang, I'm definitely
that's where.
Oh boy.
He talks about how you got to be careful because for some training will work, but for lower skilled, you can't retrain. It's like
they don't even like school.
Right.
Tell me about a truck driver who's a white 50-year-old man. Tell me how you're going to train him to be a coder.
Right. See, tell me the automation and retraining or repurposing works in higher skilled jobs. I'll give you an example. Even like me, I work corporate America. I work in an audit group. Our goal is to use 80% automation. So our automation is not replacing people, but instead where we used to maybe get like a 10,000 field data set and we had to go through it, now we will just automate it and use some kind of tool.
Of course.
So we don't spend that time doing that anymore. Now we're using it smarter and better, and we can repurpose and train people to do completely different things. But you can't do that with someone whose job was to just kind of like assembly line or like what
do you know that do you know that 4 million they said there, and I wrote this statistic down because I really was like, whoa, this is crazy. So first of all, one thing to know that truck drivers is a common job in 29 states. 3.5 million there are 3.5 million truck drivers right now. Okay,
that's a lot.
So that means that you're going to take and their jobs, they make about $50,000, and these are people who their jobs, like, it's not the easiest job to do. You're driving, you have poor health because you're eating horribly. They're predisposed to diabetes. You're predisposed to like
prostitutes from time to time. Ooh.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. The gas station prostitutes.
Damn. So
not good quality.
So
prostitutes.
Probably, and then you come home with your God, and then you bring that to your another story. But think about that. So now you have these people, right, that have this lifestyle, right? Now you're telling me that you're going to have like a robot self-driving truck that's going to drive your produce and all your things across America. What's going to happen to these 3 million truck drivers? What are they going to do?
Yeah, I think the best option, to be honest with you, and I know truck drivers are a little more difficult than the youth, of course, is trade school. Trade school. I push trade school for the younger people over college. Forget college. Go to trade school.
Trade for
if you learn a trade, and there's trades other than like technology trades, man. Learn HVAC. I mean, there's trades that still use your hands and do physical labor that you can do, and doesn't have to be based on laptops and computers and technology at all. So trade school should be, and you can offer classes, and not even like something that takes up your whole day. You can't like go into college. You got go to different courses. You can have one class you can take while you're still truck driving. and to learn a trade.
But this is where Trump preyed on ignorance, because he was like, I'm bringing back manufacturing
He's forgetting.
jobs, and yet the data shows, no, you're not.
No, you
the
can't.
robots are going to take over the jobs.
It doesn't even matter what he says. Companies are saying, okay, thanks. You do understand that we have $168 million that we're trying to save. We're not going to just create, if we have a way to get our jobs done faster and
you don't have to deal with
easier,
sickness and paid
oh my
leave
God, or even car accidents that truck drivers have. You don't have to deal with. Hello, get me that self-driving truck, and that goes for the cashiers. That goes for, and it's everywhere. They're even bringing in the medical field. That goes for sorry. I'm trying to think of what are the other things. They're talking about having it in malls. Have you noticed that malls are closing down? They're not building any more malls. So why is that happening? Oh, because
order online.
Amazon. So tell me how you're going. So basically,
well, you don't close down factories like AOC did with Amazon coming here. I mean, you let that come and you work in factory. That's one way. That's why what she did was so horrible. But we can't. That's another different topic. But,
yeah. No, that honestly, the problem that's this is going to attack a lot of white Americans predominantly, because a lot of them, these are their jobs. Like truck driving is not like a predominantly urban black immigrant, whatever you want to call it. Like this, it's predominantly white men who do this job. So what happens to them? What happens to the maybe the nurse that was, there's a new surgery that they don't need her job.
I guess I wonder the age as well, because like, are these people nearing retirement or Social Security, and they're kind of just going to die off, and then they're younger, their children, their grandkids are now, the robots are doing the manufacturing, so now we can all go to college and learn how to code and do all, you know what I'm saying? Like, is that the shift?
But it's not. They're saying the age is, I'm sorry, I know you're going to say, but what they're saying is that the labor, first of all, the labor force is of people that participate in the labor force is 63%. So as of now, and this is like some places in South America have a 63% workforce. So we're not even using all our people, our potential. So that's one. Two, what the other issue is, these people, if you're 50 years old, you're not retiring. You've got another 15, 20 years to retire.
What are you supposed to do?
You still have a job. You still should be working. You should be retiring with dignity. You should be able to still have your job. You work hard. You don't have a expensive life. You pay your taxes. Why should you lose your job because you're not a robot? Because a big corporation wants to save money and wants to evaporate your job that has been in existence for hundreds of years.
Countries like Japan?
Yeah, but it's a different type of.
I mean, population-wise, but I just wondered, they must have dealt with the same situation, even in their own like control for population. But like,
no, I think
Japan's more technology, more advanced than we are.
That's true. Very, very much so.
But I'm saying, what happened to their traditional manufacturer,
They moved on with society, and that's what we got to do.
What does that mean?
That means
but how do you move on?
Because
Tell
technology's
us.
already got rid of. I mean, look at the 20s. How many jobs there were where people were doing physical labor that are now longer don't even exist anymore.
Like book binding. Like remember when you had to bind books? They don't even. I remember I had a.
The Dewey the index. Was that the Dewey Decimal System they call that? That where you had to go to find your own index in the library. I remember that. Right,
okay. And the library, that too, librarian. Like there's just so many jobs that are not existent, and obviously you're right, people, you have to evolve. Like you can't just think you're going to be in one thing for 100 years, but you can't forget that majority of the people in America don't make a lot of money. What is the minimum salary that, like, anybody that makes over 30,000 or 25,000 or something is like technically better off than most Americans. Yeah, like so what do you say? It's hard out there, you know what I mean? So now you're telling me, and you know what happened, and this is the interesting thing, so this is how Trump won because his base, right, his base thought he was bringing back all the manufacturing jobs,
and
right?
all
the coal jobs, right? And unfortunately, that's not true. There's no possible way. It's almost impossible to bring back these manufacturing jobs.
Well, he's brought a few back through the auto industry.
Right. But for the most part, like some places like in Michigan, Ohio.
You see, that was like a lie and false hope. Come on. It's not.
It's technically not possible.
Do you want to see our country go backwards like that? Wouldn't you want us to see us competitive with China and Japan?
Well, it comes to like mining and stuff like that. I'm not a person that's like, oh, the environment and whatever. I'm like, if they want coal mining jobs in Milwaukee, let them have it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't care about environment until China cares about environment because they're the most polluted country in the world. So I'm not looking at it in an environmental perspective. So I agree.
Out of that, but just being being advanced from a technology perspective.
No, of course, the advancement is advancing. What he's saying is
like, make America great again, go back in times when we had the manufacturing jobs and all that.
Do you know that these people that he said, the manufacturing people, what I was going to say is that half of these people are unemployed that just never went back into the workforce. They're just unemployed. And then the other half are on disability and stuff like that. So, or committed suicide or on drugs. So this is I really want to know your answer to this. What do you think where's the solution here? Because this is a topic that our Democrat that we were talking about earlier, Andrew Yang, who has a solution. He's talking about the UBI, the universal basic income, which obviously is not. And I want to ask you this, right? Yeah, I know you rolled your eyes, but I want to know what you think is considerable amount. What you think is a solution for this? Because he's not saying that $1,000 a month is going to change people's lives completely and you can live off of $12,000 a year. However, think about if you were losing your job and you at least have a cushion of $1,000 a month. Now, obviously, disability and all these other things can come and play, or whatever the case is.
Add to it. Mm-hmm.
I would hope so, but we don't. And I don't think you want to have a bunch of people that just
like a crutch. Living
that living. People want to know that they're using their God-given resources to be contributing
members of society. Mm-hmm.
But what can we do? Tell me what you think solution-wise, because if you don't believe in the UBI...
I don't believe in throwing money around. I mean, nothing in the world's free. Where's that $1,000 a month coming from? Come on, it's going...
Amazon, they said we're going to tax these companies. This is the reward for you taxing. It's just like what Alaska does. Alaska gives back...
and Amazon's going to sit back and get taxed like that. I doubt it.
Dave. Some of them, he said he's spoken to them. But think about this. Alaska gives back money to its Alaskan residents from the oil.
All 30 of them.
It's an example. Well, listen, if it works there, why can't it work in America, like the rest of America? I was never.
Now I agree with sitting down and discussing ways for people that are like recently out of the workforce or lost a job kind of through the technology. How not let them just fall to the wayside. If you're a hardworking American and you're willing to work, you should be able to find work and do something. But I just don't think. I think honestly, it comes with it's learning. It's a learning period we're in right now.
You help me understand me. I'm a cashier, right? I don't have a lot of skills. I've got 3 kids. What do you want me to do? I'm 40 years old, and I've been making it by being a cashier, and I'm also part-time a Uber driver or something, and that's also being automized. So where do I go? What do I do?
Start looking around and find something if you're got a brain, use it. I mean, that's how I know how to do. You got to find. I've never sat back in my life and said, "Oh gosh, like what? Where do I go from here?" Like I don't got college.
What kind of job would she get?
Sales.
Okay, good.
Going to sales.
Please finish your sentence. You were about to say something.
Because growing up, the reason I hated college, I hated school from day one. I hated school since I was a kid. My mom had to drag me to kindergarten. Like I hated it. So what I did at a very young age was said, well, how can I make money without school? And sales was the answer to that. So I worked on how to speak, how to customer service abilities, and that's what I used McDonald's, the little jobs I did when I was young. I learned. I really worked on customer service. So when I was old enough to get into sales, I was a great salesman because people were like, "Wow, we're buying this product because of you, not because of the product. You sold us. We're sold on Chris." And so that's what you got to teach young Americans how to do. Get them out of this whole college mentality. You got to go to college. You got to get a degree. You got to. No, you don't. You don't. If you don't feel comfortable with school, if you're doing bad in school, just get a high school diploma and do this instead. And you can make great money. I'm making very good money doing sales. And I recommend other youth do the same thing. And that's what we got to start teaching Americans is get them out of this college mentality and get them into a work mentality and find out what their skills and gifts are and have them use those gifts and push them and say, wow, you can be a successful American in this country without a piece of paper that says your name on it in their school with a school on it. And that's what we got to do is get out of college. It's screwing us up. And there's less kids going to college now than ever, and I'm glad to say that. I'm glad to see that happen.
I have to agree. I feel like college is really like a waste of time. Like I went to college and I didn't use my degree. Oh, that's not true. I'm a poli-sci major now. I'm a poli-sci major, and I'm doing a political podcast. So maybe. Okay. All right. Well, anything from? Did you want to say any other few words that you wanted to wrap us on with this topic on solutions? Are we screwed?
It's tough. I think just need to think it through it more, because I just, earlier you talked about training, but like who's doing the training? Who's the sponsoring that?
The government usually they say the conversion rate with these trainings, these governmental training, they say no, it doesn't work.
I told you, I already gave you guys an experience about the workforce. Yeah, workforce one, whatever.
They're bad. Think about unemployment. Like if you're unemployed and you go to like those unemployment things, those job things, like they're horrible. It's like people that don't even know about job. Well, how many interviews did you go to? What are you gonna do now?
It was so bad. I mean, my aunt was in one where there was like parks cleanup, and like half the time they were like in the van eating, like on social media. I'm just saying, it was just like,
so you again
smaller government conservatism, because government assistance is. I mean, of course we need to work on our government, because I think the government should be able to offer programs for people, because it's the government. We're the country. We're citizens of the country. There should be programs that they offer that actually do work. But until the government switches around, that's not good. The government sucks right now. I mean, we just gotta. So until then, we gotta just, like I said, we got a community, man. Let's build amongst each other, man. Work with each other as Americans, and that's why this whole I'm black and I'm not American. No, F that. All that needs to end. We're all Americans. We all need to come together as citizens and figure out how to get things done without a government.
Okay, 100%. And we will end it there. Thank you all for listening to the Politricks podcast. Please like, hit subscribe, and leave us a comment. Let us know what topics you want us to talk about next. You can email us at politrickspod@gmail.com. I'm Kirsten J on Instagram.
Maxine.outerbridge.
Conservative in New York, Christopher Wright. You know the name.
Have a great week, everyone.
Adios.
Bye.